This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. So last time on the show, there was a moment when I was reading from Pennsylvania's response to the Texas lawsuit, the state of Texas, the Attorney General, who is under indictment now, under investigation for fraud and for bribery charges, who's seeking a pardon from Donald Trump. And the reason he brought this case, I believe, is that. Anyway, so in the lawsuit, they are asserting, the state of Texas and the other states that have joined the lawsuit and the other over 100 members of Congress, Republican members of Congress, have also joined the lawsuit or signed on to support it, that Joe Biden had a 1 in a quadrillion chance of winning, they stipulated, based on their calculations. Anyway, here's the moment from that last video, and then I got some news. The cascading series of compounding defects in Texas's filings is only underscored by the surreal alternate reality that those filings attempt to construct. That alternate reality includes an absurd statistical analysis positing that the probability of President-elect Biden winning the election was... Are you... Come on, man. Come on. All right, are you ready for this? I lost my place. That alternate reality includes an absurd statistical analysis positing that the probability of President-elect Biden winning the election was, quote, 1 in a quadrillion, unquote. 1 in a quadrillion that Joe Biden would win. Oh, math is hard. Math is hard, right? So that happened. 1 in a quadrillion. And now I'm happy to announce that you can get your very own t-shirt that Joe Biden is 1 in a quadrillion. Republicans think he's so special. They endorse his presidency and his candidacy prior to that so much that they've deemed him not 1 in a million. He's not 1 in a billion. He's a 1 in a quadrillion fella. Get your own right here on Teespring. Go to dollemore.info. Follow down in the merch recommendations in the description, and you can get your own t-shirt. Let's move on with today's video that has to do with Texas's lawsuit. So on Friday, the Supreme Court, as I drop my pen all over the table, the Supreme Court, a 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court, rejected out of hand the Texas lawsuit. Donald Trump's Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court that Donald Trump has picked 3 of the 6 conservatives, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. They all chose, nah, we're not going to hear the case. There's no merit to the case. Not only that, but Texas doesn't even have standing in the case. Now, standing, if you don't know, is if you get wronged by someone and I decide to sue that person because they wronged you, a court would say, well, Jesse, you don't have standing in this case. You have nothing to do with this. Therefore, you can't bring this case. That's ultimately what happened. Now, this is funny on multiple levels and was expected on multiple levels. That Donald Trump and his attorneys have seen loss after loss after loss. If you want to talk about losers, it's Donald Trump and his legal team. Not just Donald Trump in the election. And then there was this moment yesterday with Cedric Richmond, who is a Democratic congressman from the state of Louisiana, when asked about the loss and about the number of Republicans who are actually signing on to this case. Watch this.
You, in your new role in the Biden administration, have described it as also being a conduit in some ways for outreach to Republicans. 2/3 of the Republican conference, including your friend, Congressman Steve Scalise, have supported this failed effort by Texas to get the Supreme Court to try to overturn the results. And he says he still supports the president's attempts to do so. If 2/3 of the Republican conference doesn't recognize Joe Biden's victory as the president-elect, how can you do business with them?
They recognize Joe Biden's victory. All of America recognizes Joe Biden's victory. This is just a small portion of the Republican conference that are appeasing and patronizing the president on his way out because they are scared of his Twitter power and other things.
Now, look, I don't disagree that they are scared of Donald Trump's Twitter power, but I would push back. Well, first of all, let's talk about this. Is Cedric Richmond really friends with Steve Scalise, or is it one of those congressional things where my good friend across the aisle kind of a deal? Because Steve Scalise, the minority whip of the United States House of Representatives, the man who accounts for the votes and whips the conference into shape to get the votes they need on certain bills, is on record as saying that he's just like David Duke without all the baggage. Steve Scalise is not just a white nationalist. Steve Scalise is an avowed white supremacist leader in the Republican Congress. I would hope that he's not friends with Cedric Richmond. Furthermore, with all due respect, Congressman Richmond, it isn't a small portion of Republicans. It is 126 Republicans who have signed on to this out of 196. That's roughly 65% of Republicans in the House of Representatives who are endorsing the Texas lawsuit that was dismissed out of hand by the Supreme Court. The Republican Party has betrayed democracy. They have betrayed democratic norms. They've betrayed the Constitution. They have betrayed their oaths to that Constitution. And I would submit, because I don't know the answer, other than the fact that they are disloyal and traitorous and seditious, is for whom have they betrayed democracy? It's this guy. It's Donald Trump, who sat with Brian Kilmeade yesterday, dumb guy, the beady-eyed wonder, Brian Kilmeade, and did this, said these things. The still president of the United States, acting like an absolute embarrassment on a world stage with Brian Kilmeade.
No judge has had the courage, including the Supreme Court. I am so disappointed in them. No judge, including the Supreme Court of the United States, has had the courage to allow it to be heard. The Supreme Court, all they did is say, we don't have standing. So they're saying essentially that the President of the United States and Texas and these other states, great states, they don't have standing. They didn't go into the evidence. If you would look at the evidence, thousands of pages of evidence, we have over 1,000 affidavits from people that saw tens of thousands of ballots.
Gotcha.
Gets good. No, but here's the point. They're winning these things on little technicalities, like a thing called standing. They're saying the President of the United States does not have standing.
Right. So that's what was decided last night. So would you show up at the inauguration? Will you?
I don't want to talk about that.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about whether I'm going to show up to the inauguration. I'm not even going to concede the election. Donald Trump. First of all, he's calling even Republican judges he's appointed cowards. They have no courage. He's calling the Supreme Court, 3 of whom he's appointed, cowards. No courage. There is no evidence to this case. There is no evidence to this case. And the fact that the President of the United States doesn't have standing? The president, just because you're president, dipshit, doesn't mean you have standing in every court case that's brought before any federal court. It's not how it works. And then little technicalities. These aren't little technicalities. Rudy Giuliani has lost like 40 lawsuits that they've brought. An enormous amount. I don't know the exact number, but it is an enormous number of lawsuits that they've lost out of hand, just dismissed. Judges ridiculing Giuliani and his legal team. Anyway, it goes on. Donald Trump is trashing Bill Barr now because there is no standard. You can be as loyal to Donald Trump as subservient a dog that ever existed, lapping at the boots of Donald Trump consistently. And if you do one thing that's counter to his personal interest, then he casts you aside. Watch this, trashing for almost 2 minutes, Bill Barr.
The Hunter Biden this week has confirmed 2 investigations on him, one on Jim Biden. The word is you're disappointed that William Barr knew about this in the spring.
Well, everybody is. Who isn't disappointed?
Right.
Joe Biden lied on the debate stage. He said there's nothing happening, and Bill Barr should have stepped up. I'll tell you what, say what you want about Robert Mueller. When BuzzFeed put out a phony article, I think it was BuzzFeed, but BuzzFeed put out a phony article, Bob Mueller stepped out and he said that article was a phony, and then it was ultimately proven no collusion. After 2 years, no collusion. But Bob Mueller stood up and he interjected that this article was false. Bill Barr should have done the same thing.
Jonathan Turley said that he had no choice. That he would have been like James Comey again.
All he had to do is say an investigation's going on. And by the way, I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. Whatever it is, the facts. But I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. And I purposely stay out of it. But when you affect an election, Bill Barr, frankly, did the wrong thing. When they are saying things, making statements, and the press is purposely not reporting it, Bill Barr, I know, had an obligation to set the record straight.
Because unless you're Jeanine Pirro from Fox News, unless you're Greg Gutfeld, unless you're Jesse Waters, unless you're beady-eyed Brian Kilmeade, you're not loyal enough. And that is why these 126 members of the House of Representatives, Republicans, are signing on. People who are ostensibly honorable, like veterans, like Dan Crenshaw. Come on. They are cowards. Political cowards. Afraid of Donald Trump. Afraid of Donald Trump. Imagine that. Someone who doesn't have the political will or loyalty to the country to do what Al Gore did in 2000. A year ago yesterday, not a year ago, 20 years ago yesterday, December 13th, 2000, Al Gore took to the microphone, stood in front of cameras, and conceded immediately after the Supreme Court ruled it for George Bush. Incorrectly, many believe. This is Al Gore. This is a profile in courage, a profile in patriotism. Watch this.
Good evening. Just moments ago, I spoke with George W. Bush and congratulated him on becoming the 43rd President of the United States. And I promised him that I wouldn't call him back this time. I offered to meet with him as soon as possible so that we can start to heal the divisions of the campaign and the contest through which we've just passed. Almost a century and a half ago, Senator Stephen Douglas told Abraham Lincoln, who had just defeated him for the presidency, "Partisan feeling must yield to patriotism." I'm with you, Mr. President, and God bless you. Well, in that same spirit, I say to President-elect Bush that what remains of partisan rancor must now be put aside. and may God bless his stewardship of this country.
And Donald Trump can't do it. Donald Trump refuses to do it because he has no love, no honor for this country, no loyalty to the Constitution, no respect for the rule of law, for the institutions of our country, none of that. It's all about Donnie Boy. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can always email me, daily@dollemore.com. Don't forget to pick up your shirt. 1 in a quadrillion. Joe Biden. I haven't even gotten one yet. We just got them up yesterday. So be the first to get one. It's holiday times. If you got a relative who would think it's funny, think it's amusing, wear it with pride, Dollemore.info. Check them out. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'd love to have you connect with me on social media. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another.